everyone, this is Susie and welcome to Suzie Crafter Designs. I have gotten a lot of compliments and messages from friends on Facebook and YouTube about the beautiful flowers that I just shown on the Victorian Christmas stocking that I just posted earlier today, and some photos that I posted yesterday. And I thought it would be a really great idea to do another tutorial. I know that I already have a tutorial that's probably about maybe 4 years old or so already on Facebook. And you know, things change, techniques change, and just sometimes the video gets old and you know, maybe you're not finding it in the search bar. So with that said, I thought I'd go ahead and put together a really nice tutorial for you guys and try to be a little bit more explanatory for those who really want to make this, and for those who have never done it before, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, anybody can make this. And I'm going to show you exactly what you're going to need. First and foremost, you're going to need pins, okay? And I'm using my computer webcam, so you're going to need some. You can use straight pins to hold your fabric down if you're not used to it, and you're going to need a regular pin where you'll have to thread your thread through. You're going to need some thread, and hang on a sec. Okay, just want to make sure I have needles with other color threads in it already. Okay, and you're also going to need a pair of scissors. You're going to need some kind of fabrics. I really like to work with silk. I like to work with velvet. I like to work with rayon. I like to work with those fabrics that are not of a heavy thickness, because the thread tends to get stuck inside heavy cottons and canvases. I'm not really a big burlap person to make it, unless the burlap is of a very tight stitch. I do like the muslin also to work with. I'm just going to show you a couple of flowers that I made just to give you a rough idea of the flower that I'm talking about. Okay, I have a couple of different sizes here to share with you. And as you can see, these are really, really pretty. And I have to admit, not just because I made them, I think they really are beautiful flowers. Now, if you're having a party, whether it's a wedding, a sweet 16, a birthday, or it's summertime, Easter, you want to, you know, just glue this onto a straw hat. You can put a pin on it and put it on your lapel jacket, on your purse. Anything goes today. Style is of your own. There is no such thing of like in the 80s and 90s, if you didn't wear this, you were out. That's not it. Flowers and vintage shabby chic is in all over the place. It's in furniture. It's in beautiful shops that are old, bringing stuff back to life again. It's in clothing. It's in shoes. It's in boots. I mean, I saw a gorgeous pair of cowboy boots for almost $500, a pair of fry boots, and they look about 10 years old. That's because it's got a shabby chic style. So that's the route that we're going to go here today. And I have a couple of fabrics just to share with you, and I'm just going to move these over to the side. Okay. This is some fabric that I recently got on the internet from the Fabric Exchange, and I just love this pattern. I was very inspired by this pattern from the beautiful crafters that are on the Facebook group that's Tilda. There was some ladies that had some really pretty dresses on their dolls, and I was admiring, and I was trying to find a fabric that I can buy that was not like somewhere in the Netherlands. So I wound up finding this fabric online, and this is my absolute favorite fabric. This is a China silk, which is a polyester and cotton blend, and I absolutely love it because you can hold a flame to this and it's not going to go up on fire. You have to be careful, but it's not going to explode like if you would use satin or taffeta. And just to show you that, like, working with the cottons, I found, and I would share that with you in advance so that you don't get frustrated when you're making your flower, is that sometimes when you're trying to push your needle through, because the fabric may be a little stiff or thick, you may find that your thread starts to break, and you don't want that. So you want to go with if you're using cotton, with 100% cotton, as thin as possible. I mean, if you have an older sheet that has like little tulips on it or roses, you can even go into like Target or Walmart and go into the sale section where they sell twin bed sheets. You get a flat sheet, a fitted sheet, and the pillowcase. And I'm sure if you're looking for something that's shabby, little tiny flowers, little dots, or whatever it may be, it'll be a lot cheaper than going to a store spending $10 on a yard of fabric. So I'm just going to show you what I had done here. What we're going to do is we're going to get this fabric that I have here that I'm showing you, and I'm just looking for how much time I'm going here, and we're gonna get this fabric, and we're gonna do something called a running stitch. For those of you who are not sewers and not familiar with it, when you're done, your flower, your piece of material rather, will need to look like this. So what I'm going to do is before I go ahead and use this, I think I'm going to use a dark fabric with a white thread so that you can see it a lot clearer, because I have a feeling if I use a white thread on a cream background, you may not see anything. So you're going to take your piece of fabric, I would say, let's see, from elbow to fingertip, probably I would say about 18 inches. Don't worry if you have frays at the end, you can always trim that off when you're done. Okay? So now you're going to take your fabric, right? And you can, if you want to use cotton, you can try muslin. It works beautiful with these. They make awesome, awesome flowers. Okay, you don't have to press anything. You don't need any starch. You're just going to try and be as natural as possible. Now, I'm doing this video for you, so I really want to make sure that I'm very explanatory in what I'm doing. So now you're going to get your needle. For those of you who don't sew, you can probably get like a pack of 6 or 8 needles with the different size eye in your local fabric store or craft store in the sewing section, or some kind of a a fabric store, I would think. And you're just going to trim the edges. I like using a double thread just so that it's nice and secure when sewing. Some people use 1 row. I like to use 2. And then you're just going to make a small slip knot at the end where you'll have a knot there. Okay? And you're going to take your needle, and this is a running stitch. Really very simple. You do not have to be a sewer. However, some people are thinking, can I do this with Fabri-Tac? I don't know if you're going to start folding and putting it down, and by the time you do that, you may have a lot of bulk and heavy thickness here at the bottom, because sometimes when people use glue on their fabrics, the glue tends to feel thick and heavy and not pliable and flimsy and nice and silky like you want it. Okay, so we're going to put it in. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to just put it in this way. I'm matching up both ends here, and I hope using this grape-colored fabric is okay with you. I thought it would be a lot better than using the floral fabric. So here we go. You're going to put your needle in and bring it up. Put your needle in and bring it up. Don't be afraid. Put your needle in. Think of me. Up and down. And we're just going to bring this through. But just make sure that when you're doing this, because don't go too close to the end if you're using any kind of silk or rayon fabric of any kind, or nylon, because if you go too close to the end, you may hit a section where it's frayed and your fabric will come out. See, now you have, and this is the reason why I wanted to use white thread, so that I can easily show you clearly what you should have as you're going along. So now it also depends. I'm using about an 18-inch piece of fabric. If you want your flower to be really small, then you would probably use 12 inches. But I want a nice size flower, and I want a lot of ruffled, ruffled petals in it, so I'm going to use this size. And we're just going to get back to this in and out. Put your needle in and out, and I just keep going until I can't keep any more fabric on the tip of my needle. Make sure your thread is really long. I'd say at least 20 inches long, every bit of it, so that you have plenty of room and that you don't have to wind up taking it out. And see, so as you're pulling you can see that your fabric starts to form on its own, and we'll mold that together when we're done. Okay, we don't have that much more to go. We are halfway through. I hope you're following me along. Okay, in and out. There may be other variations of this video on YouTube. However, this is my take. I'm sorry if you hear the dogs barking outside. Those are my babies, and somebody is inside of my front gate. Okay. So there, you see it's really having a nice pleats. And when you get these kind of colors like this one, because this is shimmery, you'll have that really nice shimmery accent. And if you're using muslin like the natural muslin, that really gives it a great shabby chic, like a vintage touch to anything. You can also stamp on your muslin as well and have your original flower that way. And there's so many things that you can do with these, from hair pieces to accents on outfits to small pieces of jewelry to gift tops. I mean, you can go anywhere with these. All right, so here we go. So this is what we have here. You should have this. Okay, and I hope it's okay with all of you that I'm going step by step with this, because I don't want to seem like I'm not really paying 100% attention to it all, because I am. And so what you're going to do is you're going to hold the end here, and you're just going to gently pull, because you don't want to snap your thread. Pull your fabric all the way to the end. And you see that you're going to have some type of gathering of fabrics here, but of course we're not going to make this as a flower because it looks very sloppy and it's not formed properly. So what I like to do is I just like to separate the flower just a little bit, just to get a feel that there is some gathering and ruffling of the fabric there. And then I will sew off my end here, okay, which I will get my needle, and I'm showing you here on my webcam, and I'm just going to go ahead and tie off the fabric. And don't worry if you didn't do it perfectly, because this bottom half nobody's really going to see anyway. And what I like to do is, if you watch closely, is this piece right here, I like to bend it and bring it in. And that's a new concept that I came up over the years making this flower, because what was happening was I was having raw edged, frayed edged, a hanging out piece of fabric, and then I found myself having to sew where I didn't want to sew, and I don't really like using glue on the flower. So yeah, so much for that. And so anyway, you're gonna just bring this in enough where you have a couple of pointed stitches. You're going to trim that off. Okay, and we're going to put this together. So now that we have this all here, I have one like this in a lighter fabric, which you may enjoy seeing a little bit better now, because we have to bring this together, and since that one is darker, I don't really know if you're going to see it all clearly. I'll do both anyway, but I will do the floral one first. And so this is a very pretty fabric, and I really like these types of fabric for springtime. They're just really nice to have. You can have any color outfit really in the summertime and just put these on a t-shirt, and they look so darling. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to fold down a piece of fabric here. You can tack it down if you like, or you can leave it alone. If you like to add a pearl in there or a rhinestone, you can now, and then just go. Now I'm just going to do this without glue just to show you. The basic thing that you're really going to do here, because you've already gathered all your petals, is you're going to roll, and you're going to make sure that you're lined up with every roll where you stitched. So if you see here, it's completely flat across your finger. There's no uneven spots. And that's kind of almost like your guideline, if you would. Okay, and you're just going to keep rolling. And then in the end, when you're done, you will have your fabric flower, which, mind you, it's not set yet, but I'm just trying to give you the idea before we go ahead and use the glue. Now, if you want to go with a tighter rose, you can wrap it tighter, okay? You can wrap your flower much tighter, which I have also done the rose buds like this, which you would need to have a much looser running stitch in the end rather than having it much tighter running stitch, looser running stitch, rather than having one like this to make a tighter bud. Okay, and the same thing would go with this one. You would just take your the beginning where you started, you would bring it down. You can tack it down in there, or you can just glue it down, and you're just going to follow, and you're going to roll, and you're going to roll, and that's really all it really is rolling. I like sticking my finger in there for the second, and then you have that really pretty flower, which is probably, I would say, about a good 4 inches or 3.5 to 4 inches wide. If you can see it, it's from the tip of my finger to the inner part of my finger. So now we're going to glue them down. Okay? Alrighty then. Oops. I wound up moving everything over to my computer to make this video. So now you're just going to get some glue, and you're going to put some glue down. And you're going to roll your fabric. You're going to put some glue down, and you're going to roll your fabric. And just keep doing the same process. This flower shouldn't take you long. From explaining from beginning to end until now, I'm close to 17 minutes, which is really not that bad. And this one was pre-made just so that I can show you how it's done for those of you that have never seen it before. Okay, and I like putting my glue on the petal that is already rolled and just ending it off with a little more glue. I like using the hot glue because it's fast and easy. Some of you can certainly use the Fabri-Tac glue or any other glue that holds with fabric that you like to use. And there you have a really pretty rosette. And we're going to now do this one, which is the darker one that I want to show you. Okay, so any silks, if you're using hot glue, just make sure you don't stretch your hot glue onto the fabric, because it will kind of melt it a little bit, and just want to just watch yourself as you're going along. So we're going to put glue down and do the same thing. We're going to roll and roll. To the end. Now you see how you've got the frayed edged here? I don't like the way that looks, and usually I will tack it down beforehand. I did that, but I must have started on the other way around. So just put glue there, and if it happens, which nobody's perfect, and just tack it down like that. You can see it as you go along, and you'll just get used to your own way of doing it. And there you have a really pretty rosette that I've made these for people for weddings to wear in the cleavage area of the dress. Of course, you know, some of them have like pearls and rhinestones dripping down, and lots of different ideas and things of that nature for the back of the gowns, for the combs on the head, and so forth. So, and just, you know, bringing these back in again just to show you how really beautiful these are. And you can totally make these for yourself, because I can guarantee you this is a really big piece of fabric. This fabric has to be, oh, I have no idea, about 1.5 yards long. And if you were go to buy one flower this big and this beautiful of this fabric in a store, you're bound to pay at least $12 or $15 for it, every bit of it. Maybe even more in the city, I have no idea. And for those of you who are a little concerned about what this looks like, you can always get a piece of fabric the same color. I would recommend a piece of fleece or flannel, and put that on the bottom. Just glue it on or sew it on, whatever you'd like. I like hot gluing mine because it's really quick. And you certainly have a beautiful flower. And here's another gorgeous one. This is part of the project that I had done yesterday with the Victorian boot. And on those you'll see absolutely tremendous red roses on that video. And here's the one that I showed you when we got started. And these are the two that we did here. Now putting this one together and making this one together. So you can play with it. If you see a few areas that may not be tacked down because no one is perfect. Like see, I have one spot right there that has a white thread that I can see. But you know, once you fluff it around with your hand, it looks absolutely gorgeous. And if you're using it for a special occasion or a certain project, you can drop a little bit of fabric tack in there, and you can put a really pretty cream colored pearl, a pink pearl, or maybe perhaps a round rhinestone. Anything really goes. So, well, I hope that you've enjoyed this video and had a chance to give it a try yourself. If you've been inspired here, I would really appreciate it if you would mention my channel.